Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I have got a Cricut Maker Monday for you, and we're going to create some embellishments that are similar to these fringe hearts. Some of you may remember the Heart Day collection from a few years ago, and we can no longer get these hearts anywhere, so I decided to try and make my own. And I'm going to create several of these today, but I'm going to do the base of the heart on my Cricut because I don't want to have to trim out this heart, 5 or 6 different times and then cut it down. I think it's going to be much easier to create a Cricut file, which will cut all those for me, and then the only thing I have to worry about is adding the fringe. So let's go ahead and hop over to the computer, and I'm going to show you how I created this. So we're going to start by pulling up Design Space. Okay, so here we have the home page for Cricut. I'm going to go ahead and click New Project. And I will do that later. So this is going to be pretty simple today. And I am using the Cricut heart. I didn't have to purchase it or anything, so I will link this file for you below. You can go ahead and use this if you would like to recreate this. But for those of you who want to make your own, I'm going to talk you through everything per usual. So I'm going to click on Shapes, and I'm going to pull in this heart. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my sample from crepe paper. So this is measuring across about just slightly under 2 3/4 inches. I'm going to make mine roughly the same size. The heart is a little bit of a different shape, but I think it's going to work out all right here. So I'm going to select this, and then up here I'm going to leave this linked because I don't want the shape of the heart to go wonky. So make sure you leave that locked. And I'm going to click 2.7. And that'll give me the basic shape size that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and actually duplicate this. I want to make mine 5 layers. So I'm going to have 1 full heart layer, and then I'll have 4 layers on top that will have the fringe. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this 4 more times. And I'm going to go ahead and lay them out just so I can see them all in a row here. So there's my 5 hearts. I'm going to slide this one over just a little bit, because what I'm going to do here is select all of these, and then I want to make sure I have them aligned. That's going to come into play a little bit later as I'm sort of portioning them out. So I'm going to align top, make sure they're all nice and even, and then I'm also going to distribute horizontally, so that way my spacing in between all of them is even. I'm also at this point going to go ahead and change the color of these. So now I'm going to be sort of working from the bottom layer up. So this is going to be my bottom layer, which is going to be a full heart. And now I've got to figure out how I'm going to portion this to create the other 4 layers. So I think the easiest way to do this is to start with the middle layer. So I'm going to grab a square here. I'm going to start with the middle one. So this is measuring high about 3.1 inches. So half of that would be 1.5 inches. So I'm going to start here with, let's see, this is my start space here. So that's going to be 1 inch. Needs to go slightly above. And then I'm going to unlock this. So there's my inch here, and then I'll go 1.5 inches here. I think that's pretty good there. And then to work my way back up, I'm going to go a little bit, yeah, I think that works. So I want to do 1 above, 1 above, and 2 above. So I'm going to grab another square here. I'm going to take this one over here. I want it to be slightly longer. So again, I'm going to unlock this, move that up a little bit. So here's my 1.5 inches again. I want to split the difference. So I'm going to go 1 more 1/2 inch. I'm going to go slightly above 1/2 inch. Just trying to keep it as even as I can with the fringe. But since this point isn't going to be fringed too much, well, let's just see how this goes here. I'll do 1/2 inch there. I'm going to grab another one. I'm actually going to go ahead and just duplicate this one twice because I know I'm going to need a shorter one. So here again, I'm going to pull that up just slightly above the top. I'm going to unlock that, move this up a 1/2 inch, and let's see how it goes if we do a 1/2 inch here. Again, slightly above, unlock that, and if we move this to just a 1/2 inch, okay, so that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to play around with this a little bit. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm taking you through just so you can see the whole process of how I'm figuring this out. So I'm going to grab all of these squares here, and we need the square to cover the portion of the heart that we want to cut out. So, and that, you'll understand that. If that doesn't make sense to you now, you will understand it as we start slicing things. So I'm again going to take all of these, I'm going to align them at the top, and that way I know they're all starting at the exact same point, so I can keep this as even as I can. So what I want to change is how long this is. Now I want this to go, because I'm going to add fringe to this top section, I want this to go down another 1/4 inch, and then just slightly more. So I'm going to say a 1/4 inch and a 1/2. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with this one, and let's see how this works out. So I'm going to do another 1/4 inch and a 1/2, and that should keep us even. Do this one, another 1/4 inch and a 1/2. Okay, and this one, I don't know if I do another 1/4 inch, it's not quite right. So let me take that 1/2, I do another 1/4. This doesn't have to be exactly even. Maybe I do, let me rethink this. Go, undo, 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 undo. This one has got to be an inch, or at least 3/4 inch long. It just has to, because of the way the heart is shaped. So let's start this one out at a full inch. So I've actually pulled that down equal with this one. Let's add, I'm gonna have to unlock that again, a 1/4 inch here. This one is already another 1/4 inch longer than that one. This one is about a 1/2 inch longer than that one. So let's do this one, another 1/2 here. Let's do this one, another 1/2 here. And let's do this one, another 1/2 here. I don't know, I think I like that one just like that. Alright, so if you're wondering about the measurements on these, this one is an inch long. This one is just shy of an inch and a 1/2, it's 1.4. This one is 1.68. And this one is just slightly over 2.046. So I think that's going to give us a pretty even layer. Now I'm going to take these here, and I'm going to select the box and the heart, just the first box and the first heart. I'm going to click slice. And this is going to give me the very top layer of my heart. I'm going to get rid of all the gray layers and that bottom V. I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. Again, I'm going to select just the second heart, just the second box, and I'm going to click slice. I'm going to get rid of the gray layers and the bottom portion of the heart. Third one, same thing, just the third heart, just the third box. I'm going to click slice, and I will get rid of the gray portions and the bottom. And lastly, this fourth one, just the fourth box, just the fourth heart. Again, clicking slice, and I'm going to get rid of all of the gray sections as well as that bottom portion there. So I think that looks pretty even. It's not going to be exact, but it's pretty close. Now, if you wanted to get really detailed with this, you could go in and you could grab some score lines. You can change these to cut right up here. Cut, draw, engrave. You could change it to cut and get a solid line, and you could line this up over and over again to create and slice the fringe along the bottom of this. I think that's gonna take too much time to cut, because if you think about it, cutting out the heart and then cutting all of the fringe along all of the bottom, every single one of those lines would be a slice. I have some fringe scissors. That's what I'm gonna use. You could also just use regular scissors and just cut a bunch of fringe. I still think that would be faster than waiting on the machine to cut it all. However, making the bases of the heart pieces, I do think is gonna save a lot of time rather than running the same heart die through your die cutting machine, you know, 5 or 6 times, however many layers you wanna do. So I'm happy with the size of my layers and the way that this is going to fit on top of each other. I'm just gonna give you a quick look at that. So I'm gonna take this one and this one, whoops, this one, and I will just go ahead and change the color and make that one red for now. And I will make this one red as well. And here you can see what the layers are going to look like. Actually, I think I can just do it quick like this. And I'm gonna click Align, Center Horizontally. Of course that didn't work. Okay. It would have worked, except it's not going to layer the way I want it to. So this I want to be Arrange, Send to Front. This one, again, I'll click Arrange, Send to Front. And this one, I'll click Arrange, Send to Front. I will select them all. And now I should be able to align center. Nope. Undo. Let's try, have to be selected. Let's try Align Top. There we go. So now you can see they are not all exact. This one's slightly larger, but I think it's pretty darn close, and it's gonna be really cute when it's layered together. So I'm gonna just click Undo a couple of times so I can go back to having all of my hearts the same color and laid out here. And we are ready to go ahead and cut. So I'm gonna click Make It. Actually, let me go back. I'm gonna save this first, but I'm gonna hit back 2 more times to get all of those pink, because I want them all to cut out of the same color. So I'm gonna save this. Let me Fringe Hearts. Okay, and I'm going to leave that public so I can share the link with you guys. And I will save that now, just to be safe so we don't have to figure this all out again. Now I'm going to click Make It. And I have trimmed my pattern paper to 3.5 inches wide, so I should be able to fit 3 of them at a time to cut out. So I'm going to layer these in sections here. So let's see. I want to make sure that I can get all of these in one cut. Actually, I think, do I have enough room to get a whole nother one there? I don't think I do. I was thinking maybe I could push it. Let's see here. Because if I could get an extra piece cut out of all of them, that would be one more heart that we could do. I think I can do it. So here is how I'm gonna figure that out. I wanna group these. I'm gonna hit cancel, and I'm gonna put these as close together as I can. So I'm gonna start up here, and this will just make it a lot easier by grouping them to line them up on the grid mat when I click to do this in duplicates. So they're all pretty close there. I'm gonna select all of them, and I'm gonna click Group, and I'm gonna click Attach. And that way when I click Make It, it's gonna cut exactly how I have it. And there will be enough room there for me to get one more heart underneath that. Okay, so I want to cut this 3 times. Click Apply. And if I had done 3 inches, I probably could have fit a little more. I probably could have fit 4 on there, but it would have been awfully close. So I'm going to center this one over the 6. Yeah, that works. And I can get 3 cut at the same time. So for my mat, here I've pulled in some of my close to my heart pattern paper. This is their cardstock. So I've got Ballerina, which is the lightest, and the thing I really like about their cardstock is it's double-sided. So you have the light side and the dark side, so you're really getting sort of two for the price of one, and they coordinate so well together, so you can alternate those and get a little bit of a different look along with that fringe texture. This color is Pixie, again the front and the back, and this is Raspberry, again the front and the back. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of these on my mat. I'll have to do a couple passes to get all of these different colors cut out. But again, I do really think this is going to save me time rather than running the same die through a bunch of times through my die cutting machine. So I'm going to place one down here. I'm going to center this one over 6-inch mark. That way I know that my hearts are going to fit just fine there because I did that on my grid on the design space. And this one I will line up with the edge again. Okay, so I've got all of my strips of paper ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and add this into my machine. And then back over to Design Space, I'm going to click Continue. Go ahead and let my machine connect. And then for my material, I'm going to use a medium cardstock. I already have my fine point blade loaded in. Now that it is ready, I'm going to go ahead and click Go. Okay, so my first round of cutting is done. I'm just going to give you a quick look at that. I'm going to save this bottom portion here because I think I'll be able to cut one or maybe even two more hearts, and we'll do some multicolor hearts using this bottom section. But I will pop in and show you how I'm doing that a little bit later. So I'm just going to peel this off, but carefully because I want to use that bottom section. And here we have all of the pieces to put together the heart. I'm going to grab my little spatula here, just sort of fold my mat, and I can slide this off. And here's how all of this will layer together. So cute. I can't wait to add the fringe. I'm going to go ahead and get all of my other hearts cut out, and then I will be back and show you how I'm putting the final everything together. Okay, so I have all of my hearts cut out from my strips of paper, and now I have some leftover pieces, so I want to create a few more of these hearts, and I will just do some in a mix of all the different colors. So I'm going to go back over to Design Space, and I'm going to take these hearts here, and I'm going to ungroup them. So first I have to hit Detach. Then I'm going to again grab them all and click Ungroup. That's going to separate everything out again, so I can go ahead and click Make It. I do have enough scraps that I can do two different hearts like this, so I'm going to click 2 copies and apply that. And then I have to just make sure that I space out everything the way that I need to so I can fit all of these on here. So I'm going to do these, I think I have 2 of all the colors except 1. So they'll be almost the same, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 together. Yeah, I've got all different colors there. Okay, so I think I will probably just go lightest to darkest. So for my 2 hearts, I'm going to take this square, my 2 bottom hearts, I'm going to take that square there, I'm going to place it right in the corner. So I want to make sure I've got that within my 3.5. And then I will do the same thing with the next one. I'm going to line that up right next to it. And that is my 5-inch mark. So I'm going to make sure this one is lined up with the 5-inch edge within those 3 inches there. Then I will pull in this lighter color here. And I'll take this one right over the edge. I'm not going to get more than 3 across here, just to make it easier to line up. So my next largest heart, I'm going to pull down and I will make sure that I have that lined up with the edge there. Okay. So this square is taking me up to about 9.5. So I'm going to take, I don't have 2 of this color, so I'm going to use one of the darkers of this one. And I'm going to take this one and put that on the 8-inch line. I may have to trim some of these down to make all of them fit. But we'll put that on the 8-inch line. Again, pulling my second largest portion of the heart over. I'm going to line that up with the 8-inch line on my grid on the computer. And then I will go with the next largest heart. And this one, let's see, can I do this all in one? I think I can. I'm going to keep this here. I'm going to again line this up with the 8-inch, and I will go ahead and line up my next lightest color. And I will do the same thing, pulling that same color again on the 8-inch line, but taking the square over to the edge just to make it a little bit easier to line up. Don't have to think so much. All right, and then my last 2, so this one runs up to like the 5.5-inch mark, or 4.5-inch mark, I should say. I'm just double checking this 8. Yep, that's good. So I'm going to move to the 4-inch line here. For my lightest colors, I'll do a 4 and a 2. And my next to lightest, I think I can also do a 4 and a 2. And I'm going to pull this over to the side again just to make it easier so I don't have to line up quite as much. Okay, so for these, I'm only going to need 2 inches of this pattern, or of this cardstock. So I'm going to trim off a little bit here. And then my lightest, I'm going to line up here at the 4. That should fit. Well, I'll go slightly over the 4, just making sure that as I line this up, I have enough space for that. Line this one up right at the 2. Actually, I'm just going to flip it this way to make it easier. So we'll line this up at 2. And we'll line this up at 2. That way I know both of them will fit. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Again, I really only need 2 inches, so I'm going to trim off just a little bit here. And I'll do the same thing here. That should fit. I just want to make sure I don't have that up too high. That should work. So I'll line that up at the 2. And again, this one up at the 2. So now I have everything in place. I'm just double checking how I've lined things up here. It should all match. Should be good. And I'm going to go ahead and click continue. Once again, I will load in my mat. And once my machine is connected, I will click go. Okay, so here is my mat, and I just made it with a couple of these, thank goodness. So just be careful as you're placing everything down. I could have shifted this slightly because I know I have that 1/4 of an inch here. Luckily it worked out, but this one here was awfully close. All the rest of them seem to have worked out just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these off the mat as well, and then again I will be back to show you how I'm putting everything together. So at this point, I started looking at the time here, and we are again approaching that 30-minute mark, which I try to keep things no longer than that. I am going to split this video again into 2 parts, so I'm going to stop for now, and I will post right after this one the second half, so both are coming to you today. In the second half, I will put the hearts together, go ahead and decorate them up with some sentiments, and then I'm also going to package them to give away as some Happy Meal goodies. So I'll take you through all of that in part 2, and I will see you again soon.